when there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
If you're not of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, you're not welcome here.
In the middle of the night, the ghost tried to talk to me.
It's interdimensional, so we are living in a multi-dimensional environment.
He's bending down, doing something. He says he sees a shadow. He turns around and there's nobody there.
The power of Christ compels you.
I want you to tell me whether you remember what happened to you when you died.
I went blind, then I had an hemorrhage, and I fell asleep, and I died in a chair, in a corner downstairs.
How can we kill you, Bill?
By the way, God.
Yeah, I remember you used to help him clean the Crow School and stuff, and we'd go there. Me and Al would go there, and we'd stay in the gym and play basketball while they were cleaning. And I remember we'd see faces,
right?
See faces and stuff, and it would creep us the hell out. Or we'd even run around.
Yeah, that one time I was working at the mine, and it was kind of once in a while I go peeking on your uncle, and the time came and I went and checked him out, and he said, "I got something to show you." And I was like, "No, what is it?" Let's go. And he grabbed his keys, a bunch of keys, and that's the school. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "All right, let's go." And he took off and got in his truck, and he drove because I was going to take my car. And he said, "No, we'll just take the truck." So we took off, and he didn't say a word. I know, just blabbing off and this and that, and he didn't say anything. And he kind of looked at me and, "Oh, you're going to like this kind of look, huh?" And got there and went in there and went to this little room that was smaller than a damn, we call it a closet. And that's where they keep their
DVRs?
Yeah. And back then it was VHS.
VHS, yeah.
VHS before they they were going to turn into that. And that's the time when they started going to that, DVRs. And the thing is, these are on timers, and they don't turn on till 8 o'clock at night. And here, went into that room, closed the door. So I closed the door, and he was going, "Man, there was a bunch of them everywhere, huh?" And he knew which one it was. He found it and looked at it, and even had the time where to go to that time on the thing. He pushed that and like that, and he went, and he found it. And okay, he says, "Watch." He pushed it. We're watching his nephew. Had his headphones, and he was like pushing that stinging on. Went into that room and dumped the garbage in there and kept going. And he looked this way in the hallway, and he was fine, This is an evening. And then he got past to where there's a dark spot on this corner here. And he went into the teeter's lounge, and he reached in there and grabbed the wastebasket, and he dumped that out and put it back and started going. And he's, "All right, watch to your right," he said. Next thing you know, a shadow popped up ahead like this, and he was watching him.
Oh my gosh.
I said, "Are you kidding me?" And then he moved back, and he looked again, and then he popped out. He was playing with him.
Wow.
Oh, God.
And he was like, he didn't want to make no noise.
Wow.
"Are you kidding me? This thing act like it's still alive, And he says, "Watch." And Lance gone to the washroom, and he put something in there, I think. And then he came out and pushed his cart to the secretarial and the principal's office right there. And he went in there, and that shadow went right into that washroom, and then he came out, and then slowly moved inside that room, and that disappeared.
Wow. Man, I want to see that so bad. I still haven't seen it.
I said, "Did you tell?" I said, "Nope."
I didn't tell.
I don't want him to quit. He said, "I don't want to tell him." He said.
Wow.
He ended up leaving though, didn't he? Yeah.
Oh yeah. And okay, you guys talked about, seeing faces in there. He kept looking at his watch. And he says, come with me. All right. So went down there and he kicked that boiler room door open and left everything open. And he went through the gymnasium. It was dark. He went through there and he went out to the hallway. And we walked all the way to the back to the boys' bathroom. And teacher's lounge, the new one, was back there. Used to be where they keep the equipment. So they made a teacher's lounge there.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, and a coffee pot.
Is that the one where it had that brick wall that kind of went?
No, yeah. It had it. No, it had one of those.
So high.
It had an office divider.
Yeah, divider. That's what it was.
Yeah, and so he was unlocking that door. He opened the door, and he started reaching for a light. And here comes this Indian girl out. I said, "What'd you do? Lock some kids in here?" Huh? And this little Indian girl like looking at us and walked by. And he said, "Don't move, champ." And he's still looking for that light. And then here this color kid came out with a basketball. And he was just giving Ben the dirtiest look.
Wow.
And then he turned to me. And I was like, "There's a color kid down here?" It was cool. And then he went on the hallway and he stood there.
This is a reservation school, so it's mostly natives.
And he stood there and just stared at us. And then he walked off and I was like, "What the?" And there was the furthest room that goes that way and the hallway was kind of ways. And I was only maybe 10 feet away from the opening. Just when he disappeared, I ran out. Guess what? Nothing. I was like, he turned and looked at me. He said, "It happens every night."
Wow.
Yeah, he said
That's the
worse.
scary part, he said.
Man, it's funny that you mentioned this kid. He said he was a little boy because we were at that school before, and Joey had to use the restroom. I was like, "Well, I'll go too because I have to use the restroom." So he walked into the bathroom and I went into the stall. And then I heard Joey come out and he was washing his hands. And right when I opened the stall and I looked, he just stood there staring at the mirror with this look on his face, like his eyes were just wide open. And then the light shut off on us. And we both ran to the door and the switch was flicked. And when we looked out the hall, there was nobody down that way and nobody down that way. And he looked at me and I said, "What?" And he said, there was a little boy standing just off behind me. And he said he said he was black.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I remembered the stories, like people seeing this kid around, and we ran so fast down this hallway to get out of there.
Oh my God.
We thought Calvin was messing with it. We thought he shut the light off, so we went to go turn the light on. And he went and flicked the light back on and looked, and literally no one down the halls. There was nobody there.
And there's a legend that that kid committed suicide there.
Yes. In a storage.
Right.
Yeah, hung himself.
Yeah.
And that's why they see this kid walking around there with a basketball, because he played basketball a lot then.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is we came over there again. He kind of got uneasy of going down there by himself. So I started going over there with him. And the funny thing is, we got over there and he says, "Do you want to go shoot around for a while?" I said, "Sure." So we started shooting around. "Let me go check the boiler." And he took off. So I started throwing ball, and then just when he came back from the boiler, I seen a ball bounce from the hallway.
Yeah.
And hit the door and kind of went this way, and then a kid popped up, an Indian kid, and I was like, and I stood there watching, and I was like, "Do you see this?" And he says, "Hey, wait, champ!" And here, I had that basketball. I could hold a basketball like a basketball player.
I could do it too.
Yeah. And I grabbed it, and I was like, "Champ, down!" And I just went here, like, kid grabbed that basketball, and I was running, and he took off the stairs, and I chased him upstairs, and he was screaming, but I almost took his head off. And here he tripped, and he was on his hands and knees. The room was right around the corner there, and here his grandmother came.
Oh my God.
And and Ben was stumbling and everything trying to catch me.
Just a regular
I
kid.
remember hearing that one a long time ago.
And we finally went down and he said, Jam, there's people here. Oh man, I couldn't stop laughing. I went and got down there and started playing ball. Okay, and then after a while, and he says, you know what? The funny thing about it, I said, what's that? Somebody's playing basketball sometimes at night when I'm coming into the boiler.
You can hear the ball bouncing.
And it dark.
Oh,
Whoa.
God.
And
That just gave me chills.
half a year later, we were sitting there in his little office there next to the boiler and waiting for that boiler to clear out. So, because he cleans the clinkers and all that.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there, and pretty soon I heard, duh, 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 and all like, I looked at him, and he's like, it's starting.
Oh, man.
I said, open that door, and he says, no. I'm afraid somebody's going to be standing right there.
Yeah, man. I wouldn't be able to do it.
I said,
man.
Ben, open the door. And there was remember those dodgeball balls?
Yeah, those like rubber ones?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was one there, and I grabbed it. And I was going to floor this thing. It was right there. And then here, he opened the door and flipped it like that. And he stood to the side like that. That basketball made a basket and bounced and bounced and bounced. And it was coming at us.
Oh, what the heck?
It was bouncing, slower and slower. Then it was rolling to us. And
So your plan was to Peter LaFleur this freaking ghost in the face of the ball.
Yeah.
And I caught the ball, and I was already in the gym. I was looking to the side a little bit, and you can barely see. And can you flip the lights in here? And he says, no. He said, the switch is way over here. I was like, okay. What's going to happen if I throw that ball? Try it. So I took the ball and I threw it to that to the other basket, and it hit the stage. Missed it and hit the stage. It bounced and came back down, and then it hit the ground. It just bounced and stopped. And when it was stopping, guess what happened? It started rolling to one side like this and going that way, and then it started making a kind of like a half loop circle, huh? And started coming back to us.
Whoa.
Oh, God.
And I looked at Ben and he says, let's get out of here.
I hated staying there at night playing basketball, because I'd be trying to play basketball. All I could feel was something watching us through those curtains in that stage. I'd always look back, but I couldn't help it. I had to look back and look at these curtains because, man, it just creeped you out.
Wow.
I tried to talk him into starting that early or put a camera by that lounge, but he never did.
Man.
I remember even going there when we were a little older, and playing in the gym and stuff when he's cleaning at night. And I remember walking into where he had his screens and everything, his TVs. Walk in there and everybody be standing around it watching the screens, because then you'd see something go by. Something go by the screens. Oh, look, there's another one. Something go by. And there's nobody in there but us.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is like in the middle of the night. So it was just like a thing, just sit around the screen and watch. It's just creepy, man.
There is one I remember you telling about seeing a cook.
Oh, man, that one used to gross me out. Ben, when he saw that one in the kitchen.
Ben.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Let's get to that one. We'll end there.
Really quick.
Just to creep people out at home. Yeah.
You'd have to see the...
Okay.
We have time?
Yeah, we have time.
It was in the morning, and the cooks were doing their thing, he said. And it freaked him out because he was sitting there for a long time when I got there. And he says, what's going on? And he says, something happened this time. This time it's really bad. It happened during school. What? He said, yeah. He said, remember that mirror thing right there? And I says, yeah. I threw the garbage out. I came back, and the ladies were back there talking. He said, and here I came right by, and I seen somebody's face. He said, I stopped and backed up. He's like that. And he says, this old lady's face looking at me in the mirror. And it's like I froze And I was like, stared, and then his face just turned really ugly. He said,
Show us it out, because this used to creep me out. Show him what the face looked like.
okay, when he seen this lady, she said it was pretty at first. And then he said the face just turned it started changing really bad to it was so ugly. He said it freaked me out. He said, and then he said, I took off. And he said, I waited. And my mom, he said, she was still teaching there. I'm pretty sure she was. And he said, I want to talk with her. And he said, talk with the family. And he said, we had to feed the elders and pray.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tradition of Indian,
Right.
And feed the elders.
When you see something, right?
Yeah. And this old lady, he said, he kept describing it, and he said it was it's one of those movies, but worse. He said it sticks in his head.
Wow.
He sees it once he don't want to say it. He said he sees it.
Wow.
And he said I think he said he took that mirror down there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, didn't he close his eyes and just run out of there after he seen it?
Yes, he freaked.
And he said it like opened his mouth like it was screaming, but nothing came out, like no noise.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like and its mouth was like a little wider than humanly possible,
Wow.
basically.
Yeah, he was all.
Can you do the face?
He's not gonna do it. I remember I was listening to this story, and then when he did the face, I was like, "Oh God!"
I was there when he told it.
Picturing it, and I was like,
I think about it still. Dad's face.
But that place has history.
Yeah.
It's an old school.
And we've been trying to get into investigating there, but new management.
That won't.
Yeah, he doesn't. They didn't want us to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it was like, I get it, But what's funny is the person that's the principal there now, he actually caught something on camera at his house.
Oh, interesting.
And I heard the story from his sister.
Can we need to get in touch?
A phone call, and she told me the story. And it creeped me out because he saw something outside his house coming up to the cameras, and then up to the front or the door. And then it started making its way, and when it started making its way, the dog